about the life. I had just gotten up pretty late. Mostly in those days I was waitressing. And I was straight, but I thought about girls. Usually I'd close the place and I'd move on to another place with whoever was around. I liked being with an anonymous crowd I could smother myself in. I looked like anyone else, and I was part of a generation that was just fine with that. I had long hair, not bad looking, I'd like to point out. But one morning, I was lying on my mattress and the phone rang. It was on the floor across the room. I stumbled over records and books. On the third ring, I picked it up. "Is this Eileen Myles?" Yes. I was naked and I'd been up drinking late last night. I felt fat. "Do you live at 105 Thompson Street?" "I do." Maybe it was a contest. "Well, we have a gun trained on you right now. Drop to the floor." And I did. "Now I'd like you to..." At that moment, I realized I could just hang up, and I did. When the girl called, I was standing in front of all those windows of my home. I put on a white shirt, I looked in the mirror, I dug my hands in my pockets, and I came up with 37 cents. I brought it back so it looked like I had something. I threw in a book. I wore no socks. It was early fall, an unemployable time. She sounds young, pathetic, I thought, but she probably has money. Maybe she'll buy me a drink. Just gotta move, I thought, closing the door. And she did. She brought me a shot of Hennessy's. "I got you Hennessy," she grinned, as if she had done a really good thing. And she knew how to live. She was young. If I was 25, she was 21 or 22. From Sioux Falls, she said. She looked like that. She had long, straight, reddish blonde hair, lots of light freckles, and had a little flat twang in her voice. She ran fast. She had that kind of twittering energy. You couldn't tell if she was smart, but she was accomplished. She could get around, but she wasn't hip. And she wanted to be a writer. She told me about going to, like Harcourt, Brace, and Jovanovich with her notebook, getting past reception and marching in on some editor at the top of some tall building and getting them to look at her notebook. She was so nuts, but it seemed sort of great. "What did I do?" I asked. "What did they do?" I asked. "They were really nice," she said, "so they said I should meet some other writers. Maybe I should go downtown." "So, oh, Henry," she shrugged, smiling. "Oh, that was smart." I felt behind this girl exchange we were having was a big, huge depression. A mountain of despair was watching her coming at me, her strange manic hopes and her stupid notebook creeping closer and closer by the moment. I was waiting for her to say, "Do you want to hear my poem?" And then I would sit there sipping my Hennessy's, listening to her obvious poetry, and all because I was broke. But if I paid attention, really paid attention, maybe I could ignore the mountain of sadness, and she might entertain and distract me, and I would think, this is life. The romance and the sadness. I am in it now. She did do that, which is what happened. I'm going to cut to the chase away from that. What actually does happen is she actually offers her an opportunity to, she doesn't say prostitute, but go on a date with these guys, and we don't have to do anything, we just have to meet these men. So I basically, in the first 100 pages of this book, I string this narrative through, which is really kind of the thing about being female, and it's just like, as a poet, and the narrator here talks about entering the poetry scene as a female, and with this work, and yet you keep being viewed as a woman, not a poet. And so I think the whole first 100 pages of the book is trying to say whether she'll become a writer or a prostitute, or how she, and what is the true currency of her life. So, well, I'm going to cut to the end of the chapter and have the encounter. So they're on the date, and her date is named, they're two Italian handbag salesmen. And hers is named Attilio. We went to the hotel. By now I'd succumbed to only walking hand in hand. We had moved around each other all evening, Attilio and I. His green jacket shone and flickered. Constantly I looked at his shoes, pointed and I have to admit a little scuffed. I stood with him and Rita and Freddie in front of a row of brown elevators as if it were a rocket launch. Everybody here knows what's going on except me. I mean, I could say no to the story right now, or I can obediently go along with it. When the door opens, walk on. It was an unbearable wait with a substantial amount of human traffic in the yellow lobby. Rita was probably waiting to see if I would bolt. At this moment, we were standing in a battle of nerves. She had probably already set her terms. I was the only outsider on this tour. I could say, I think I need to go home. Sorry, thank you for the lovely evening, all the drinks, and the powdered scrambled eggs. I guess it was a bagel, the fakest bagel I ever had in my life. The 4 elevators, a rusty reddish brown, hung there like stone. I guess I'm just going to go on. No one seems to be saying anything. I guess they all think I'm just going to go up. I'm turning into a whore right at this moment. I'm just turning into a whore. The door's open. And we got on. We rode up in silence and Rita smiled. I can't believe my stepbrother got me into this shit. Will I ever tell him? He will never know. The elevator stopped on the 16th floor. We're getting off here. See you guys. Rita leaned in and pecked me a kiss because we were friends. Whoop, the doors closed. Attilio leaned back against the elevator. Oh my God, he's ignoring me. He looked at me out of the corner of his eyes. "It is okay?" he asked kindly. I really think he did. I said, "Yes." Are all hotel rooms gray? Or maybe it's mauve. It's a pale little color. And something is gold, maybe the drapes, and tall, thunderous lampshades on. The lights, remember, this is home. Big public globes of peace. "You'd like another drink?" He leaned back on the bed. By now he had thrown his jacket on the chair, loosened his tie. I said yes. He lifted a bottle of vermouth from the night table. "You like?" he asked. "Sure," I said, just like an American. He poured it in my glass and put his hand on my head, and soon the light went out. The first time I ever kissed was outside in a park in my town, and it was in the fall, and the kid was about a year younger than me and kind of cute, but he had pimples, and I generally felt that his family was poor. He came from a whole family of brothers, and many of the girls who were in my gang, mostly sisters, and then Franny, the girl next door. They were all these girls went steady with all these boys, and that meant simply that you kissed, and some small bit of metal, a tie clip, a ring was exchanged. And all of this was alien to me, but I was part of this group, and I wanted what had happened to them to happen to me. So when it was pointed out that I could have Wayne, I took him so that I could have the experiences I seemed to need to be a girl in my gang. I mention all of this to describe the kiss, my first. My first I could own as mine. He meant to kiss me and would do it again. But why? Probably also because he could. Our little lips met to no purchase. I mean, no revulsion or storm or revelation. Just warm, dry, adolescent skin in the cold fall just before supper. A couple of duck bills, smack. He shoved something at me which did make me ill, perhaps a tie clip, but it meant that the deal was sealed. And I got out of it as quickly as I could. Going steady was something I had done with Wayne. Oh yeah. Attilio was kissing any girl on the bed, and it seemed that this would pass. The non-event of sex with an adult stranger putting his soft, drunken tongue in my mouth. Somehow, as we got our clothes off, I actually think I got under the covers. In retrospect, it was like married sex. The ribbony silk that trimmed the blanket and the hard dryness of the clean hotel sheets were my friends. His hands moved aimlessly along my body, touching my ordinary female chest. My breasts weren't large, but I had never wished that they were. I had no sympathy for his possible disappointment. I was the body he'd been paying for all night. It wasn't like he bought me, he rented me. Each drink was the accomplishment of another 40 minutes or an hour in which I agreed to stay with him, who was perhaps 11 years older than me and probably married. I think I asked him if he was, and he said he was married. I asked him if he had any kids, and he said yes. I think he went down on me. I sort of remember it. My legs being boringly open on that bed. It was really a different experience of being a body, that I had maybe overtly agreed with Rita to do all this and silently conspired with Attilio, but mostly it reminded me of Wayne, and years later performing, making out in a movie, the smells of a woman I didn't want. Not one I didn't want either, but like Wayne, we were inscribed together on a piece of graph paper, like ducks drawn on a tablecloth, for later embroidering, which I guess is now.